What's going on, everybody? Let's take a look at what we got over here on the workbench. Really cool old issue of Hot Rod. Got that Green Hornet on there, which we're going to talk about in a second. Appreciate our friend there, Mark, that talked about that magazine on his show, and I was able to track one down on eBay. Then I was looking through an old scale auto, found a cool Predicta there built by my daughter. So very, very cool. Well, we got some fun stuff on this Throwback Thursday. So give me a second. We're going to flip. What's up, everybody? Paul here, Left Coast Small Car Builds. Happy Thursday. Hope you guys are having a great week out there. Not too bad here. Been super busy. A lot of stuff going on. So, wanted to jump up, get this. I was going to try to get it done this morning, but they got into work real early. So, just going to enjoy a Thursday afternoon, Throwback Thursday. So, something really cool here, different. We got an old build of Pops here, the Green Hornet. This is an old Monogram build. I think we may have shown it way back early on the channel. I'm not sure. But really neat. One of my favorite builds to kind of just look at. Really cool. Got that old school look to it. Just kind of takes you back to fun, simple part of the hobby. Other than a lot of, a little cleanup and stuff he did. For the most part, it's box stock. Just a lot of cleanup, paint work. I think an aftermarket magneto and a little photo etched gauge cluster face and decals on the dash, but really cool. So something that was really neat about this is I know listening to Pops talk, this and the old Black Widow kit were a couple of his favorites, and our friend there, Mark over at Hobby Dude 007, he was talking about it and talking about the magazine, the old Hot Rod one, which was really cool, knowing this was one of Pops's favorite build, something he really enjoyed as a kid and come back building as an adult. So I jumped on eBay, found that magazine. Again, thanks to Mark over there for listing on his channel. So I order it, get it, and show Dad, and he's like, "Oh, cool, you found it." And I'm like, "Yeah, found it on eBay." And he's like, "Oh no, we have a copy of that. It's just put away in a safe place." There's that safe place again. So, kind of a funny thing. He was, familiar with that issue and has one tucked away somewhere. I've never seen it. But anyway, still a huge thanks to Mark for pointing that out on his video. Still happy I went and got that because I want to check it out. I haven't even looked at it yet. I'm not going to flip through it here. This was something, Mark on his channel was talking about this old kit and talked about the magazine and everything. Was talking about doing a more in-depth kind of review of the kit and flip through the magazine, which is really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing that. But I thought it was really neat just to show Pops' old build. He probably built this, 20, 30 years ago. So I thought it was really cool just to show it with the magazine back there. And I'll be looking forward to seeing what Mark does on his channel, but we'll save that for him. I'm really looking forward to seeing his kind of flip through and everything with the model. But I do like that display there. So thank you, Mark. I appreciate what you showed on your channel. Because, yeah, that was something apparently Pops has put away, but I've never seen it. So really cool. That's, one of the really neat things about, I'm not even going to say the community, just in general with being familiar with other channels, seeing what they do and watching other people's work, right? Before I created my YouTube channel, for the most part, I jumped on YouTube if I was having an issue, with a part fitting or wasn't sure about something. I'd try to find someone that did a full build. Just go to that area, that part, see what they did, if they had any issues or if they talked about what they did to get something to fit differently. I never really dove in and saw in depth what's actually, in this community, I guess, if you want to say. you know, it's very cool. It's really neat to see everybody's takes on stuff and to be involved in that. It's really cool. Yeah, it's a lot, you know. I guess, yeah, I don't know how else to explain it other. It's really neat to really dive in and see what's out here and what people are doing. That's the other fun of the YouTube and this hobby, is seeing and knowing what other people are doing. Really just kind of broadens everything out over there. So really cool. Huge thanks out there again to Mark for just kind of displaying that on his channel, because for me it opened it up and I was able to go find that magazine. With that, guys, so I'm gonna pull a magazine here to check out. Luke has been away for a while, so as I mentioned before, he's not really doing the subscriptions anymore. Right now, not even probably looking at selling the back issues, just because he's been out and about and away, and for him to package them and ship them out isn't really happening right now. So anybody that sees this, that's been picking up the magazines or anything, yeah, I would just hold off till he gets things back, kind of back in sync of day-to-day life, as everybody's got stuff going on out there. But with that, guys, we're gonna find something to flip through here. So I appreciate you all dropping in. Make sure you check out the links in the description. Hit those guys up. They will appreciate it. Let them know Paul sent you from Left Coast. Let's get into a magazine here. Give me a second to clear this up. We'll be right back. All right, here's a quick look here on the turnaround table of Pop's old Green Hornet build. Really clean. This is an old, I believe, Monogram kit. I know he had a lot of fun with this. Took his time, really cleaned parts up. I believe that is a House of Colors, green pearl, not candy. I know we were debating on that. Candy, so at the time he built this, you know, we were just using the urethane candies. I don't know if the base coat candies were even out yet. But with the urethane to match up all those parts and everything, it would have been a lot of work. But yeah, really cool build. I know a lot of time just went into cleaning, fitting parts on this. You know, he did a heck of a job. Really like this old build. It was this one and the Black Widow, not the 57, but the old Monogram Black Widow. I don't know if he's built one of those. I know as a kid, I know he mentioned building them, but as an adult, I'm not sure. You can see there where he did do some aftermarket gauge clusters. Otherwise, I believe it is all pretty much box stock and just pretty much paint detail. Used an aftermarket magneto, but that was about it. Otherwise, it's just paint detail and clean building. But really cool. There will be some pictures, still pictures here at the end. Stick around, check those out. But yeah, really neat build. I always enjoy looking at this one. And again, you know, thank you to Mark over there, Hobby Dude 007. You know, he was talking about that, and I believe mentioned he's going to do a review of one of his builds on it and go through the magazine. So I'm not going to get into all that, maybe down the road. You know, that was kind of big thank you to him for talking about that. You know, that even though apparently we already had one tucked away somewhere, but thought it was a nice gesture there for Pops. You know, went on eBay, found it, picked it up. But really cool though. I like that. So definitely looking forward to seeing what Mark does in his video and all that good stuff. But give me a second and we'll be right back. We're going to get this moved out of the way here. Slightly different. Got a cool issue, an old one of Scale Auto, August 2010. One of my favorite models right there, the 57 Black Widow. And that was a sweet build. I definitely want to do a few more. That's one I started years ago. I don't know. Maybe we'll pull it off, clean it up, finish it up. We'll see. But funny is, I saw a few of these, couple of these sitting there. I think I had picked one up and Pops had picked one up. think there was one more, and I was saying, yeah, why did we get so many of these? And I saw February 21st, 2010, NNL Nationals. I thought, oh, that's cool. How's the NNL, which we typically go to. But really cool. Love these old scale autos. Definitely a magazine that kind of takes me back to, you know, my early days in the hobby. These, I remember taking scale auto, and I believe it was Car Modeler, maybe even Plastic Fanatics. I remember taking some of those 6th, 7th grade when you do like your 15 minutes of reading. I would be like, cool, I'm going to read a magazine, Model 1. So it was a lot of fun, a lot of good memories from these magazines right here. And back in those days, the earlier days, not necessarily 2010s, but the earlier days I was getting into it, you know, that was really cool. Is we didn't have the internet and all that stuff. Now, this is a cool feature by our friend Andy Kellick, who unfortunately has passed on. Was a good friend of ours. A lot of folks out here, and I'm sure all over knew him. You know, he was really big in the hobby. Really nice guy. Really great guy. Always enjoyed chatting with Andy. Yeah, super guy. Yeah, Ken Hamilton. There's another killer name in the hobby right there. That guy does some amazing work. Been watching his stuff, you know, since I was a kid reading these magazines. So it's really cool about these, especially some of these older ones, is some of the names you see. You know, Tim Boyd. I mean, he's just been in the hobby for so long. There's another guy we know, Mark Batson. Check that out. Really cool. Man, so much fun. Yeah, Clay Kemp. I mean, there's a builder right there. Man, that guy's a beast. Yeah, really cool here. Clay Kemp did up this Black Widow. Just beautifully done. And check that out. Great article, too. Absolutely love this article. Yeah, some of these things you can just go through time and time, and, you know, they come right back to you. But tons of great stuff right here if you wanted to build a nice, really nice detailed model of this. That'd be a lot of fun. Amazingly clean work right there. Check that out. That's sweet. Look at that. Who's that guy? Man, Mark Batson. Really cool. Yeah, it's so neat to go through these now and see stuff with folks you meet through, you know, YouTube. Mark, I'd seen his work as well through magazines, things like that, but, you know, never had the pleasure of meeting him in person, so that's really cool. Oh yeah, NNL Nationals 2010, so I didn't even realize it's been so long, but really cool. There's my Ford Sedan Delivery. That one's always done well, you know, as far as getting photographed. I think it's just the curves of that Sedan Delivery and that House of Colors Purple Pearl just really stands out. But what was really cool about this, you know, a friend of mine, Jay, he's always getting stuff in the magazines as well, man. That guy is a killer builder right there. And you got John's work, which is always really clean. Yeah, probably more. There's our buddy Kevin right there. Very cool. Yeah, it's neat when you're seeing your friend's stuff in yours in the magazines. But what's really cool is when you see your daughters. And that wasn't Belle. This is my oldest daughter who built this Predicta. My daughter, Lani. So really cool. She loved the hobby. She's hoping to get back into it one day. You know, she's got her family started, so she doesn't get much free time, but I know she's got some models and talks about, getting back into it down the road. And there's a buddy of ours, Thomas. He was a really good builder, really good detailer. And Eric, that guy does some amazing paint work right there. Curt, yeah, he does some nice work, really clean. Yeah, really fun just going through here and seeing, you know, your friends' models and stuff. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So I think it's more cool to see your friends and definitely your kids than it is to see your own, you know. We've been very fortunate with the paint and stuff, you know, for catching people's attention and getting cars in magazines, you know, but it's really neat. I always love seeing my kids in there, and seeing Lani, Belle, and June, all three have had their stuff in magazines, is really neat. Yeah, that's really cool right here. Basic weathering. I'm going to have to definitely read into that. Another article there by Clay Kemp. Weathering, that's a whole nother beast right there. You know, Mars, he's really good at all that stuff. My buddy Shane can do all that really well. I'm not, you know, that was my build for Mars's rust bucket. And I figured, man, I don't know about the rust, but we'll make it look like a work in progress, something someone's rebuilding. We'll try to redeem ourselves this year. Yeah, Mike Alvarez, he was a good builder. And then talking about Augie Hiscano being his mentor, that guy was an absolute beast. I remember seeing his builds way back as a kid, you know, in the magazines. Man, he was doing stuff back then that I don't think anybody else is really doing, or at least not a lot of people. And you can see here, this guy's definitely got some amazing talent. Yeah, it's always neat seeing really clean detail work. That's, you know, it's one thing to just load it up with a bunch of stuff, but to really get it to lay out clean, that's artwork right there. Here's some more coverage here. I like that a lot. That is sweet right there. Yeah, Rick Harris, he builds some really cool stuff. Yeah, Ken Hamilton, love seeing his work. Yeah, nice stuff right there. So kit review there. Dukes of Hazzards. Those are cars I think I'm going to go back, try to pick up some stuff. And I'm not you know, have to be 100% movie correct, but it would be neat to build some of those Dukes of Hazzards cars. That was a show I really liked as a kid. There's our double dragster kit. Those are really cool. Like I said, I almost took one or both of those for Joe and Tiffany's group build, but opted to go with the Willies. Yeah, Sheriff Roscoe police car. It'd be fun to have a little lineup of the Dukes of Hazzard cars. I'm going to have to look for those. That'll be cool. Always enjoyed looking at the different ads back then. Model House, actually, absolutely loved them. Chrome Tech USA, used Bob's stuff a lot. Yeah, really cool. Model Roundup, they're still around. That's cool to still see them. Finish Line, very cool. And then you even had the old hobby shop directory. Yeah, that was neat. And classifieds, I remember when they used to have seemed like a page or two of those. Yeah. All right, give me a second. I'm going to flip this thing back around. All right, everybody. So that was a flip through of an old 2010 scale auto. Really cool. Always love these. We have a lot. I'm not going to say we have all the episodes or issues from the time we got back in the hobby, but probably close to. So we have a little bit here and a bunch in the garage. So anyhow, guys, that's our show. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Something a little different. And like I said, if you're looking at the Customs Illustrated or Hot Rods Illustrated, check out eBay. I know there's a lot of stuff there. And hopefully as things come back around and Luke is back, moving the back issues, I'll let you guys know. Until then, prayers out there to our friends in the community. I know Glenn, Mark, prayers for your family, you guys, anybody else that needs them, their friends and family. And with that, guys, I hope you enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and we'll see you at some point this weekend, everybody. Take care, be kind. Check out those links in the description. Let them know Paul sent you.